Hello there. My name is Karen Compton. I'm originally from Boise, Idaho, in the United States, where I taught for 16 years from grades 3 through ninth. And recently, just this summer, in fact, 2 months ago, my family and I moved to Singapore. I'm now teaching in an IB school at Chatsworth International. So I'm in the middle years program, the MYP, and I teach years 7, 8, and 9. So those are grades 6, 7, 8. So very much middle school vibe for me here. I used Sutori a great deal at my previous assignment, and because I'm just new here, I'm starting to infuse it into some of the assignments that I'm giving out here. But these are some of my favorites from last year and the several years before, where I've taught English, but I've also taught what's called digital literacy. So very much still English, but a lot more of using digital tools. So Sutori became a real asset during that instruction. A lot of students I will have go through these. These become assignments, but I've gotten these from the Sutori resource sources of going through and learning how to use effective search tools, both for the internet and search and within Sutori. So using this one, I have students go through. I had assignments programmed or also with it, added to it, where they would complete a Google Doc answering specific questions about what they see in these slides, just to make sure that then they also had a resource that they had on hand in their Google Drives. I also had them bookmark a lot of these so that they could refer back to them. So this one with using search image tools was a great help. Another one I used a lot was the digital citizenship about crediting your sources. I feel like this was very beneficial in any English class, any science class, any class in general, where you're asking kids to report and then understand how to include citations and references with that. This one I felt to be very helpful and had students refer back to it several times in order for them to understand how to do that successfully. Another one that I used a lot when giving this assignment was just how to create a story in Sutori in general, going through the basics. I so appreciate the videos, the screenshots, the screencasts, so that students can keep going back through and double checking what they're doing and how to do it. So those were some of the resources that Sutori offers that I embedded into my teaching and added to my classes. As far as what my students produced, one of the main assignments that they used Sutori for was their research and presentation of an innovator. So we kind of had some guidelines. I started out at first being like, any innovator you can think of. But after getting Alexander Graham Bell and Einstein so many times over and over, we started to make it a little more restrictive, where it had to be within the last 50 years. It made them focus more on who current innovators were. But this one I found to be very insightful. It was one of the first ones assigned. And she looked at Edgar Allan Poe as an innovator of the horror story. His innovations became what led into mysteries, murder mysteries, and all the way up to Stephen King and what's embedded now into pop culture. So I thought hers was very well done in terms of presenting a balance of images and videos throughout her presentation. I did have them label specific things that we were looking for in class, such as struggles, successes, and then key events. I've used this one as my example when assigning this for students for several years. So I thought hers was very good. It also was the one that made me really understand and connect with Sutori. Hers was featured specifically on the front of Sutori's webpage for a while as being like an inspiration built story, like an example on the website. And that's when I realized that Sutori was a way for my students not only to share their work, but for me to share what my students were working on. So that was where I felt really validated and really appreciated what Sutori had to offer. Some of the other ones that students have done throughout the years include the innovator of the GoPro. I tried to get them to find something that they were specifically interested in and then to work on, well, who might have been an innovator in that field or who might have made innovations that made that area more dynamic or improved it. So instead of them just trying to pick the tried and true innovators that you would find looking this up, I tried to have them think about things that they enjoyed and then who had made significant improvements in that. I liked this one a lot. This one was somebody looking at global impact, how people have made improvements that have helped the world, so more global. This student was one that struggled from time to time on assignments in class, but I felt that he really did a great job of including like titles, all the elements of the assignment. He really got into this where it became a personal interest of his once he started really looking into this and seeing. So it may have spurred his future decisions in schooling and career. So thank you, Sutori, for providing the platform for him to find these interests. This one made me laugh because she didn't really necessarily have like a key innovation. Obviously, she had several. And so this student did a really good job of really focusing in on an innovator versus just somebody who innovates something. So I really appreciated the depth that she got into in researching this specific person. I have had students that have found innovators that they wanted to research but had difficulty finding information online. And the benefit of using Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, email is that students have actually been able to contact these people and talk to them personally. A specific person in San Diego was able to send my students examples of his work. They've done a really great job of realizing the power and the impact that they can have on this kind of stuff. One of the other ones is Jim Hansen here. So his legendary work throughout time. I thought this one was really well done. Just a couple more examples. The Bob Ross one always makes me laugh, especially when the videos are included and students would get up, and the presentations usually of him were very well done, very dynamic, informative, and excited. They, as a final culmination to creating these, they would get up and present their innovator to the class. So I appreciated the opportunity that Sutori gave me to give a platform to my students and creating their presentations. I feel like there's still many more directions you can go in an English classroom with exploring authors, genres, literary devices, and I look forward to trying those out. Thanks, guys.